Now, I just watched a video on YouTube from NBC, and it was about the eviction crisis that's happening in America right now. And this was only dated a few days ago, and it was about a 2-minute news piece. And the centerpiece was an older lady, maybe about 65, 70 years old, I'm not sure. But she ended up getting evicted and her belongings thrown on the street. And she was very distraught over that. And I did a video a while back about many older and elderly Americans becoming homeless. And I was surprised to see this video. And I was actually quite surprised to see it titled as a crisis. And I got bad news because we haven't even got to the crisis point yet. Now realize that this video probably was made a few weeks ago. And inflation has been pretty persistent for the last few years. But now we're getting ready to see hyperinflation. We're getting ready to see prices of goods and services go through the roof. And if the mainstream media is considering at this moment there to be an eviction crisis happening, what's going to happen when gas prices are $1.50 more than where they are now, and prices of goods and services is a lot higher than where it is now? And I've said for the last year, if we get prices back to where they were 2 years ago, you're going to see a homeless epidemic crisis that we've never witnessed here in America. And we're about to face that. And there are going to be millions of Americans, not thousands, not tens of thousands. There are going to be millions of Americans joining the lady that I just watched become evicted. And the thing is, you get behind on these bills. It doesn't matter what age, what race you are. You're going out on those streets. And we're getting ready to have millions of Americans face this very reality. Now, this is only early April. And these next few months, on a historical average, April, May, and June are oil's strongest months. And we're starting off this period at around $90 a barrel. So we could easily see 110, 120 a barrel for oil. And that will put gas prices above the records that we saw 2 years ago. And that's going to mean inflation is going to be higher than where it was 2 years ago. Now, the safety net is gone. There are no stimulus checks coming. There are no rent moratoriums coming. There are no extra SNAP benefits loaded onto your cards. So we're going to see a crash landing with millions of Americans. And all it takes is one pink slip. You leave work on Friday smiling. You come back on Monday frowning when the doors are locked and there's a note on the door. And you've been sent an email saying that your job is moving to Mexico. A lot of Americans are going to face this very reality. And if you don't have a good amount of savings, and depending on your location, you might be without a job for a while, or at least a job that's going to pay enough to cover the bills for a while. And that's what we're about to face. Now, I'm seeing a lot of bankruptcies. Now, these are names that you're not going to hear on the news, and you're going to have to do some digging to even find these articles. But each bankruptcy has repercussions to the real world. And in some cases, if bondholders, if they're not getting paid, well, that means somebody's not getting paid somewhere else. And we're going down a treacherous avenue because these bankruptcies have only begun. Watch what happens when inflation goes up. When these fuel prices go up and it looks like the Fed is not going to be able to cut rates, you're going to see everybody run to the trough at the same time and try to file bankruptcy. But it's going to be like musical chairs. There aren't going to be enough investors for everyone. And you're going to end up seeing a ton of liquidations. And when that happens, that's going to be jobs. Now, we just had one. The 99-cent store is closing all 370 stores in America. Now, these likely aren't high-paying jobs, but they're jobs nevertheless. And this is a company that employed about 15,000 workers. So you now have 15,000 workers looking for another job. And this is just the beginning. And realize that this is a dollar store. This is a discount store. So if a discount store, if they're filing for bankruptcy, if they're not doing enough business, then that's a very ominous sign for this country. And it's actually the opposite of what you think you would see in a normal recession. This is how you know that this is going to be bad, because I'm seeing stuff from the bottom close down first. I'm seeing thrift stores, discount stores, businesses like that close down. And as I've said, the bottom 50% of America, they're not in stocks. So they're not benefiting from a tech rally. They're not benefiting from Dow 35,000, Dow 40,000. They're not benefiting. In fact, the stock market is having a negative effect on their lives, because as the stock market rallies, it's pulling up commodities, and commodities are pulling up inflation. So your average Joe that's changing tires at the auto shop, he's paying more for gasoline. He's paying more for goods in the grocery store. And Microsoft going up 10% in a month, that's not helping him. Now, as I've said before, this next bout of inflation will be a knockout blow for America, and I don't believe that we can get up off the mat from this one. If we have gas prices just $1.50 above where they are now for a duration of 6 to 8 months, that's going to be enough to put millions of Americans out on the streets, many more millions of Americans living in their cars. And there's going to be no coming back. Once you're homeless, it's almost impossible to get back to the point where you were before you got kicked out on the streets. And I don't even want to talk about health-wise, tuberculosis, hepatitis. Once you're kicked out on them streets, you're vulnerable to all of this. So America, we've got hard times coming. Now, if you like this type of content, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.